Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going to look at the 1970 FA Cup final between Chelsea and Leeds. It's also been dubbed the dirtiest final, but we'll get to that a bit later on. It was played on the 11th of April 1970 at Wembley Stadium. The first game ended in a 2-2 draw, so a replay was arranged for the following week at Old Trafford, and Chelsea won that by 2-1. It was the first cup final that needed a replay since 1912. It was also the last FA Cup between 1923 and 2000 that was actually won outside of Wembley Stadium. It was played in front of 100,000 people at Wembley. Again, that was a record for the normal at the time, and the only time a final has been played with less people in the stand was in the 2020, which is another one that we've done a bit earlier on due to the COVID crisis. Chelsea were two of the top teams at the time. During the 1969-1970 season, Leeds United had finished runners-up in the league and Chelsea had finished third. This was a clash of football contrasts. Chelsea were regarded as the flamboyant Southerners and Leeds United were regarded as the uncompromising Northerners. Both teams had never won the FA Cup. Both had been in recent finals. Leeds United in 1965 when they lost to Liverpool 2-1, and Chelsea to 1967 when they lost to Tottenham Hotspur, also by 2-1. From their routes to the final, Chelsea played Birmingham City and won 3-0. Round 4 they played Burnley at home and drew 2-2, and then went away to Turf Moor Burnley and won 3-1. In round 5, Crystal Palace were beaten at Sellers Park, Crystal Palace's ground, by 4-1. In the round 6 or the quarter-finals, they were away at Queen's Park Rangers and won 4-2. And the semi-final, which was played at White Hart Lane in London, they beat Watford 5-1. Leeds United had a similar straightforward route. Round 3, they played Swansea City at home and won 2-1. Then away in round 4, they went away to non-league Sutton United and won 6-0. In round 5, they hosted Mansfield Town and won 2-0. Round 6, they went to Swindon Town and won 2-0. And in the semi-final, they had a longer and most harder match. They were drawn against Manchester United and they drew 0-0 at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield. A few days later, they went to Villa Park and again drew 0-0. And a second replay was ordered, which was played at Burnden Park, the old Bolton Wanderers ground, and Leeds United won by 1-0. So the final would be, like I've said, between Chelsea and Leeds United. The first game at Wembley was a 90-minute affair with 30 minutes of extra time if needed, and then if needed at the end of that, a replay would be arranged. As you can see, each team could name one substitute. Unfortunately, in those days, way long ago, 54 years ago, there was only one substitute named for each team. As you can see, Chelsea's team, they made their substitution at the 90 minutes when the game was 2 goals all, and Leeds United didn't make a substitution. For the replay, Chelsea went with the same 12 again, but as you can see, Leeds United changed their goalkeeper from Gary Sprake to David Harvey. Don Revie thought that David Harvey would be a better goalkeeper in the mud at Manchester United. As you can see, Chelsea didn't swap their substitute around until the 112th minute, and again, Leeds United didn't use theirs. Both were captained by the same players, Ron Harris for Chelsea and Billy Bremner for Leeds United. Before the start of the match, as per normal, both captains made the toss, and the match was refereed by Mr. Eric Jennings from Stourbridge in the West Midlands. He, in fact, refereed both finals. In the first final staged at Wembley, Leeds had the better of the play, and Leeds winger Scottish international Eddie Gray, who was man of the match in the first game, gave Chelsea fullback David Webb a really torrid time. Leeds took the lead in the 20th minute when Jack Charlton's downward header from a corner got stuck in the muddy pitch, and Eddie McCready, the Chelsea Scottish midfielder, who tried to clearance, and the ball rolled over the line because he miskicked it. Towards the end of the first half, Chelsea's Peter Houseman fired a low shot from 20 yards, which went under goalkeeper Gary Sprake's body for 1-0. Maybe that was the reasoning behind Don Reeves to change the goalkeeper for the second leg. 6 minutes from time, Leeds United thought they'd won it when Alan Clark's header hit the post off the Chelsea goal, and Mick Jones was there to react fastest to make it 2-1. 2 minutes later, Ian Hutchinson made it 2-2 after he headed in from a John Hollins cross. So the match went to extra time. There were no more goals in extra time, and both teams did a lap of honour around Wembley Stadium at the end when Mr Jennings called time. The reasoning behind the Football Association's decision to have a replay at Old Trafford and not Chelsea, and not at Wembley a few days later, was due to the bad condition of the pitch. It just been used for the Horse of the Year show, and it had been churned up for that. And another reason behind the April FA Cup was because England were defending the World Cup, which they were champions, a few months later in Mexico, and the FA decided to give England football team all the time they needed to acclimatise to the high altitude in Mexico. The replay at Old Trafford was watched by 28 million people, an FA Cup final record for that time. Like I said, the match was refereed by Mr Eric Jennings of Stalbridge in the West Midlands. He booked only one player over the two games, and as I said earlier on, it was dubbed one of the dirtiest matches, but I will come to that a bit later. And Gary Sprake was the only change from Leeds United, with Scottish international goalkeeper David Harvey going in. Baldwin of Chelsea and Cooper of Leeds, two of the quieter men in the first match, were actually kicking lumps out of each other. Harris, the Chelsea's captain, caught Leeds winger Eddie Gray with a nasty kick in the middle of his back with his knee, which caused the Leeds winger to spend most of the rest of the match having problems and limping. Hunter and Hutchinson traded punches. Nowadays you'd get sent off. While Eddie McCready made a flying kick at the Leeds captain Bremner in his own penalty area and wasn't cautioned, and no penalty was given to Leeds. Johnny Giles then lunged at a Chelsea player. Jack Charlton kneed and headbutted Peter Osgood, the Chelsea centre forward, and while the Chelsea goalkeeper Peter Minetti was injured after being bundled into his own net by Leeds forward Mick Jones, who minutes later scored past the injured Minetti to make it 1-0 to Leeds. Chelsea equalised 12 minutes from time, following a move from which Osgood scored a diving header from a Charlie Cook cross. Now, Peter Osgood became the last player to date to score in every round of the Cup. So he scored in the third round, the fourth round, the fifth, the sixth, semi-final and in the final. With the game at 1-1, once again extra time was needed. And just before the break in extra time, Chelsea's Hutchinson sent in a long throw that missed most players in the penalty area and came off of Jack Charlton's head towards the back of the post, where David Webb of Chelsea headed the ball into an empty net to give Chelsea a lead for the first time in both matches. They kept hold of their lead and they won the cup for the first time in their history. Going back to where I said that it was dubbed as one of the dirtiest matches ever, this was due to a couple of modern day referees, David Ellery and Michael Oliver, who had a look at the game. And studying the game, David Ellery looked at the match in 1997 and stated that due to the many fouls in both matches, that 6 red cards and as many as 20 yellow cards could have been brandished to both sets of players. Michael Oliver said that there could have been 11 red cards and many more yellow cards given out. Chelsea played the first final at Wembley in blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks, and Leeds were in white shirts, white shorts and red socks. In the replay, Chelsea changed to blue shirts, blue shorts and amber socks, and Leeds played in all white, just like Real Madrid do. Both managers were English, and like I said, they only had one change by Leeds and only one substitute was allowed. So we're going to go and wrap this one up now, guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the video of the 1970 FA Cup final. If you've liked this video, would you like to subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything and helps me immensely with the channel. Give me a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you know that whenever I drop down a new video, you will get notification on it. If you want to look at more of my videos, check out my channel and have a look at the couple of videos that will be on the screen in a few moments. And once again, thank you very much for listening and watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.